What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Tuffy Talk Live Show. You got myself, Layton Smith, Greg the Leg, Macon, Ethan. You got the whole Tuffy Talk crew. We are so excited tonight to be talking all things NC State football as we are less than 4 weeks away, y'all, here from the opening kickoff, baby. It is so exciting. We got a lot to get to here today. Got my top 5 NC State football players countdown, which is a hot take to say the least here for sure. I'm sure I will be not in the norm, and that is perfectly okay. But again, we'll get to that. Plus, also too much more around the NCAA rulings and a whole bunch more. So make sure to stay tuned here. And if you've been with us before, you know the drill. Make sure any questions, comments, thoughts you have, make sure to throw them in the chat, and we will get to them here today. But with that being said, Ethan, I did want to ask you here, man. You know, we got camp moving along here. You know, we're a few days in here. There's been a little bit of talks of, you know, some insider knowledge, things like that here. But also, though, too, outside of that, in the NFL news here as well, actually, you got KC Concepcion, who's turned some heads here in Cleveland, man. Are we claiming that success for our very own right now, in your opinion?
I don't know. So I got a notification. I drafted KC on my one of my dynasty teams, and so I got a notification today that he had moved. That he was listed as questionable. I don't know why we're listing guys as questionable on August 3rd. I don't know. I would say no, because, like, again, are we claiming Justin Joly? If we're claiming Justin Joly, like, to me, it's got to be one or the other. If they start your career with you, then and they finish somewhere else, I don't know why that would be different than somebody starting their career somewhere else and finishing with you. So I don't know. To me, it's the school they get announced from. It's the school they finished at. And I don't know. That's kind of the way I view it.
So Greg, you think that for game 1, when they do the intros, that it's going to be KC Concepcion? I'm a whole pack of Aggies.
To be honest, I don't care. Because do you know what I care about?
What do you care about, Greg?
So some people say Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year. I disagree. It's the day that I get my parking passes for the football season. That is my only focus right now. No, I'm with Ethan. I completely agree. For me, it's who you get announced by. You know, if you get drafted or your last school, that's the way I look at it. So, if you know, like Caden Fordham, for instance, you know, makes the Bucks team as an undrafted free agent, it'll say NC State on his profile. So that's the way I go with it. And I know he was here all the time, so he might not be the best example, but to that kind of point.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess
whatever they flash up on the screen
to make sure that's thorough. Then you don't count Russell Wilson as an NC State guy, even though he got a degree from State.
I don't. But times have definitely changed. I mean, that's what I like. With the portal, it's kind of much different. Like Russell was just kind of like a once in a. Yeah, like just a very unique situation considering the time. But yeah, I would say no. But I'm also not a Russell fan, so
I would say yes. I would say because he got the actual degree, he was in Wisconsin for less than a season, and he acknowledges NC State, and his name is retired.
Well, it depends on what day of the week it is.
Yeah, I get that too, but he didn't have to go up on the Monday Night Football and be like, "Hey, I'm Russell Wilson."
I think he acknowledges everyone but Tom O'Brien.
That's true. Not getting more of that. I call him an alum. I probably, for a guy like KC, we identified him, right? We were the team who he committed out of high school. He didn't stay there for, I'm sure, for several reasons. Why he want to go different. Want to go chase the big money at Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with people who do. Like, I get it, but I also get people who are like, yeah, he dumped us, kind of thing. So why should I continue to choose him? So yeah. I feel like, honestly, Russell's a little bit more of an exception. Like, I feel like a guy who would leave typically be like, okay, fine, you're not for us anymore. Like a Marquez Valdez-Scantling, like he was here for 1 season and left. Like, I'm not counting him so much, you know, but Russell got a degree. His name's in Carter Finley.
A-
I mean,
and
that,
you
I
can
just,
make the argument.
I think it's a little different.
Yeah, and you can make the argument that Russell was kind of, chased out of here. I don't think that's a far leap. So, and again, it just depends on your criteria and what you think. Like some of these guys, like don't get playing time. Okay, I get it. Go chase your dream somewhere. And so for me, I guess it's kind of how did you leave, right? If you left on quote unquote good terms and this, that, and the other, and you weren't God, I hate to use the word head case, but that just kind of was the word that came to me. But just causing drama and trouble. That, yeah. uh, but I think again, everyone's got to have their different criteria in the way they view at it. But I don't think you're wrong in either direction. It's one of those things. It's
Yeah.
just preference.
Agreed. Now jumping
You're
into
Tommy White, you're dead to me. So. Just kidding.
But jumping into a little bit of the news here. So I found it interesting. Obviously I try ever so often to check out what other NC State publishers are saying out there. And one quote from Backing the Pack said, "This is," and I quote, "This is maybe the thinnest NC State's been up front that I can remember. It's alarming and the biggest reason I'm not buying 2026 as a breakout year." Now, Ethan and I earlier this week did our defensive preview, which if you haven't checked out that full episode, make sure to go and check it out. But Megan, I'll ask you first here. I was a little bit more bullish in the fact of not necessarily that I believe that there's a lot more to this defensive line than maybe people are saying. No, I think we can agree for sure. There's definitely not a lot of stud power, a lot of depth, proven depth on the defensive line right now. But with the investments that were made at the linebacking core and the defensive back area, you could feel a little bit more covered, I guess is maybe the word, that those two areas will be able to pick up any slack that the defensive line may have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll wait to see how the guys play out because seasons can go a whole lot different than you expect they will. I do think there is some credence to generally if you're on the smaller end of things, you probably are going to be more likely to get thrown around and those kind of things, just generally speaking. But and added weight is helpful. I kind of want to leave the jury out on that one. Not trying to be Switzerland here. I just think let's see what happens, what the guys do. They might surprise people, right? Doesn't mean just because you're the biggest person, like Drake Thomas wasn't the biggest dude, but he definitely balled out in the linebacker spot, or some other guys who in the past who balled out in some of those kind of spots. So, I like us to be, bigger at times in certain areas or have the biggest, best athletes at every position. Yeah. But I mean, States have really good years of defensive line. They might surprise people with what they can coach with these guys up. So I look forward to it, but probably not the answer you're looking for, Layton, but that's kind of what I'm thinking there.
Well, and Greg, before I hand it over to you, unfortunately, I can't hand it over to Ethan because Ethan has all of a sudden a mid-year resolution to be more positive, so he can't really talk about things that are negative. You know what I mean? So, Greg, do you kind of have anything to add here specifically around, just, how is it truly alarming in your opinion, or is it a concern?
So I think for folks, I was just kind of thinking about it as we were talking through this, and I don't know why this angle hasn't really dawned on me. I think for a lot of fans, especially the common fan, we brought in a lot of transfers, right? And so when you look at the roster, there's not quote unquote a lot of returning big number stats. And I think that's what maybe is causing people some alarm and some angst. More on the offensive side, you've got guys like CJ Bailey and Jackson and Duke and some of those players, offensive line guys, T. Anderson, Spike Souls. So they kind of seen these guys in action and they know what they can potentially produce. There's not a lot of that on the defensive side. You got a lot of guys that were in roles, support roles last year that you're asking to step up. So you haven't maybe seen a lot of stuff. So I think again, if it were me, I could see why that's where people take a little pause and have caution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Ethan, though, to kind of pick a little bit back up where we left off here, with our defensive preview conversation, it doesn't seem like really, how much of a I guess, swing of the needle is it, with this, the latest, because I guess there's not really any greatest news on the Evans NCAA violation here. But also too, like, does it make you, think at all that maybe it's not a huge deal that we don't have as much of a star power on the defensive line, being that from the quarterbacks that we're going to see are not the top tier echelon. Again, you're avoiding the Darrion Williams, you're avoiding, probably, whatever, quarterback Clemson decides to move forward with here. The only guy that you're really looking at here is, you're the quarterback from Cal. I mean, that's the only one I'm really looking at here of obvious real concern.
Don't you think about who you're going to face in the playoffs, though? The ACC title game. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't think that should, impact kind of what you're trying to do defensively. I think either way, you should be trying to build your best defense, the best defense you can on both sides of the ball, maximizing your budget and acquiring as much talent as you can. Yeah, exactly, Greg. So I don't know. I mean, sure, that makes you more bullish on the season, right? Like, we've seen the win total jump from 6.5 to 7.5. Like the state's projected.
I saw where it was 10.5. No, I'm just kidding.
From who? You?
Yeah, exactly.
There was that one.
I'm taking odds.
Commentary guy who had stayed at like he projects to be over 10
David
wins.
Pollock.
David Pollock.
And know what really bothers me about that is, like, okay, the win total is 7.5. State's picked to finish 7th in the league by the media.
Yeah,
which I don't put a ton of stock in, but they're also 7th in Vegas's odds. And, people are going to get carried away with like one or two quotes, and then they're going to point back and be like, oh, I was told this was going to be a 10-win team. It's like, no, you weren't. That was one guy talking. You were not told that.
Yep.
So then people are going to be disappointed if State only wins 8 games because, they were told X, Y, and Z.
It's a failure of a season.
Yeah.
Right. Like, well, eight wins. Vegas is telling you if you're going to make money on this, if you're going to put your money where your mouth is, if State wins 8, you're making money.
Yeah.
And
I think they are winning 8. I think they are winning 8.
I think most people do. I do. I think most people think State will win 8.
Maybe more, but I think that's a pretty good number they can get to.
Yeah, maybe more, but I would caution people. I mean, the win total started at 6.5, and then it went to 7.5. So I think Vegas is probably telling you like 7 is probably more likely than 9.
Right.
Well, I think
we haven't added any talent since those numbers came out either. So it's just,
that's true.
Yeah, that's just where the money's coming in.
Yeah, of course.
And looking at schedules and stuff like that. But Vegas does all that too, right? Like they're good at what they do. They make money for a reason.
I think the word that people sometimes don't fully catch or understand is the word can. Like, for example, Dave Doran said CJ Bailey can be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. NC State can get to 10 wins a season. Sure. CJ Bailey can. That's within the realm.
But you're kind of hedging your bet there, right? So you're not right or wrong. Right. Or so if you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're not wrong.
Right. Yeah. No, but it's if I were to come out and say, I don't know, Stanford can win the ACC championship. Well, yeah, can they? I mean, maybe, but I mean, NC State truly can, get 10 wins this season. Like that's not out of the realm. That would not shock. I would not absolutely blow the doors off anybody, I would say. But
I would be
a lot of things have to go right. I'd be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised.
What is your biggest argument if you had to pick one reason why that State could exceed expectations this year or make it to Charlotte for a championship game? Or maybe is there one thing that you can point to if you had to pick the most, like, this is the strongest case for it? Because to me, it's the schedule. Like, nobody had UVA last season being where they were, and nobody would have thought they were crazy with UVA being there.
For me,
they were like 12th or 13th or something like that, 14th picked last season.
Yeah, they were low.
Yeah. For me, if State's offense meets expectation and State's defense exceeds expectation, I think that's how you see it happen.
I think it's a good point.
I would point to CJ Bailey, and Macon, you mentioned the schedule. I mean, we've talked about how Bailey performed against average-ish defenses.
Yeah,
And
but Ethan, just to kind of push back at you, you even you were on IPS the other day and said like we could score 40 points, but if the defense gives up 42, CJ can play perfect QBR and we could still lose the game.
yeah, it's hard because can you win a shootout, right? I think that was one of the questions from last year where it's like State lost some of those shootouts. I'm of the belief that, and again, bringing it back to last year, I'm of the belief that the defense did enough in most of those games. Now, there were a few exceptions, but considering where we felt like they were relative to their talent, relative to the opponent, I thought they did enough to keep NC State engaged and give the offense a chance to win. And that's kind of where my expectations are again. Like, I think it's kind of keep you in the game, and then you've got to have a chance. You have to give the offense a chance, and the offense has to come through. I bring up the Virginia Tech game. I mean, State gave up 23 points to Virginia Tech, and it's like, okay, like, sure, you can nitpick that. That's not great. I mean, it is a good number, right? 23, you expect to win that game, but whatever. Like, okay, the defense wasn't good enough, if you want to say that. The offense had a chance late in the fourth quarter, I believe twice, and they only scored 21 against Virginia Tech. So and go win the game. Like, I'm not going to get mad at the defense for giving up 23 instead of 20 in a situation like that. So, I mean, again, you're right. Like I said, the defense could do that, but if there's a reason why NC State is going to exceed expectations, I look at what CJ Bailey did statistically against 9 teams that they played last year, and now those 9 teams, that's going to be 12 teams that you play this year. Maybe 11 if you want to look at Duke's defense, I guess. But whatever, 11, 12 games, I wouldn't even throw them in that category. I would just probably say that wasn't a good Bailey game. If you get that sort of performance that you got in those 9 games without a Miami, without a Notre Dame, to me, that's what you're looking at to say, okay, how can State get to 10?
But again, that's why I'm saying if State's offense meets expectation, right? Because the expectation is this is going to be a good offense. This CJ Bailey is going to have a quote unquote breakout year, right? Like he's got chances to do things that haven't been done in multiple years at State. And then your defense exceeds the expectation. Now, what truly is the expectation for the defense? That might be the golden question, right? Like what do you expect from this defense? And
well, let me phrase it to you guys. Yeah. So SP plus, which is kind of my go-to for, the analytical projections, I guess, building lines. Bill Connolly at ESPN. Where do you guys? So he ranked the offense and the defense. I'll just tell you this: he had State 47th overall with a 4.9 rating, which is basically 4.9 points better than the average Division I team, which was 47th. I believe I mentioned that. Where do you think State ranked offensively and defensively?
So overall, they're 47th is what you're saying, right?
Overall, they're 47th. Yeah.
All right. I'll take the first stab if everyone's cool. I'm going to say 23 on the offense, 66 on the defense.
I'm going to go like 32nd, 33rd, somewhere in there for offense. Which would mean that the defense would be on the 50 number. Because if Greg's right, if it's a 47, you said what, 20? Yeah,
I said 23 and 67.
It would have to be a pretty wide difference to get to 47. So I'm maybe even like a 70 number, honestly, on defense. So I'm kind of going to go 33-ish to 60, 50 something, high 50s.
Yeah,
Layton.
I'll let's just stick with their guesses, Ethan. Which one of the two?
Crazy was like top 10 offense, and then like
no, it's not. You guys are actually were very close. Those were good guesses. 35th on offense and 64th on defense.
Okay.
So again, and it's not necessarily just like you're averaging out to 47th. It's what are the point totals? Basic, right? So I don't know. If I told you at the end of the year the offense finished 35th nationally and the defense finishes 64th, how do you feel about that?
I don't know if you're winning 8.
Great. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and SP Plus projects State to win 7.
You're almost saying that the defense is twice as bad as the offense almost there, because you're like a 30-some ranked offense.
Yeah.
And that's this year's numbers, really quick. That's this year's numbers, like heading into this season.
Year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last year they finished 45th and 64th. So projects the offense to get a little better. I think with Bailey's returning production. Yeah. So and again, it's states about plus 5 points, right? So 5 points better than.
That's only if that's real. Like I said, like things have we've been surprised before. I don't know. I mean,
I mean, you can talk about, is it like, certainly it's just a projection, right? And Layton, you and I talked about, like, how do you project in this day and age where
it's just a data point.
It's just a data point. But like 10 years ago when you returned 18 starters, like, okay, sure, like that makes some sense. But I mean, this year State returns 5 starters, and they have a decent amount of returning production just with the amount of churn every year. It's very challenging, but
yeah,
I don't know. To me, that's the baseline. And you could nitpick and say, I don't like SP plus, and totally get it, totally understand it. But when you're looking at Vegas making lines and Vegas putting win totals, I mean, it's a different formula, but it's the same idea, right? So that's kind of where they get that stuff. And sure, they could be wrong. It could be. Like, State usually hits the over on the win total.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. So definitely something to keep an eye out for here for sure. But with that being said, though, we're going to jump on over to one of our segments called Pack Pro of the Week.
Pack Pro of the Week.
Alrighty, so I'll just basically do the brief introduction here, but then I'll let my man Greg the Leg here take it away here. But we're going to be giving a shout out to Mr. AMAC, formerly known as, hey, we'll let you finish the word, but now he's going by a different name here, Greg. Correct? He's not. Yep. He's not Makarevich anymore. He's Alex
Briley.
Yeah. So give a shout out here. So why Greg did you want to give a shout out here to Alex Briley as a part of Pack Pro?
Alec Briley, yeah. Just a phenomenal week last week for the Barons down in Birmingham, Michael Jordan's old stomping grounds. He went 8 for 25 with 4 home runs and 8 RBIs. Including a walk-off double in one of those games. And so, for those folks at home, that's a slug of 800 for the week, an OBP, on-base percentage of 346, and an OPS of 1.146. That'll get it done. If you rock those numbers, you're going to keep working your way up the minor league ladder. And Alec has just had a really great season for the Barons. He's got 22 or 23 home runs now on the season, and he's leading the team in most offensive categories. This is a guy that was in high A to start the season and made the jump about a month or so into the season. So just another guy that's getting things done, undrafted, and just working his tail off.
Yeah, huge shout out there. Ethan, what's your feel in terms of where AMAC could potentially go? Could we see him get another call here soon?
How long has he been in Double-A?
This is his first season there.
Feels early to me.
It does a little. He's 25 though, so he was
25. Yeah. Okay, that's weird. Fangraphs doesn't have any stats on him, but you never know. You never know. And I think a guy like him, like I don't think he's necessarily a big time prospect. So sometimes those guys can bounce around and potentially get moved up a little bit, maybe quicker than you would expect. Tyler McDonough is a good example of that. He's gone back and forth from Double-A to Triple-A with the Red Sox, I think, a couple of times this year. So, I could see Makarevich, like, if Triple-A needed somebody. But again, like Greg said, he keeps mashing and is checking those boxes. You never know. Like, there's stories like that of journeymen and long minor league careers all over baseball. So I don't think.
And 2 of those games are multi-home run games, by the way. I failed to mention that. So he had 2 multi-home run games last week, but he also had a couple offers, right? So that's kind of the thing. Like, he's still working on his craft. And but go ahead, Ethan. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
I forgot to make that point.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I was saying anymore. But
Sorry.
you
Potential's
never
there.
know. Like,
It
I
was
think
so
the type of year
convicting.
right, the type of year we saw that he had at NC State, like you saw what he's capable of.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and to think about it, like he hadn't even like in his combined 3 years at ECU, I don't think he even hit 23 combined home runs, or it might have been close to that number.
Close. Yeah.
But he did that in 1 year at State, and then has done that at the AA level, which is I get it, it's pros, but like when you talk in single A, low A, that's
Yeah.
kind of college-ish level. So when you're getting into double A's and all of that, it's definitely more refined. And so to see him to do it that stage is an impressive thing. And I still think he's got some ceiling. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. With his power, I do think the question with him is going to be, strikeout rate. He's striking out 28% of the time in AA this year.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough as you move up. Contact rates aren't ideal, but again, he's an excellent defender, hits for power, so he checks those boxes.
Yeah.
So
Fun to watch.
So this week though, y'all, we're gonna take a segment that's usually like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes here, and we're probably gonna expand it out to maybe a good old 10, 12 minute, or at the very least here for sure. We're gonna jump on over Grind My Gears.
You know
y'all.
what really grinds my gears?
And that is at the NCAA, folks. I mean, like I can't remember who said it. I saw a tweet, and it was quote tweeting the initial announcement of the judge ruling, and it basically was like, "Can somebody help me spell out cluster bleep?" Like, and was just like, "Oh my gosh, like what are we even doing?" And then you see the quarterback from FSU, like how he's reconsidering, coming back, and so that was opening just Pandora's box. And now okay, sorry y'all, we're gonna bring it back in here. What's that?
Castellanos going back to FSU, really?
Potentially.
Well, potentially.
Well, not necessarily FSU, but college in general.
No, I got you. Okay.
Okay. But now with the new clarification, they can only they only can return to the school that they were at for their senior year unless they put their name in the transfer portal back in
Previously.
January.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like Pack. I read up an article on it. It was Pack Pride, now formerly known as Pack Insider. If that's right.
Yes. Correct.
They put out, honestly, I thought a very good, simplistic article to understand it. Like, here's the timeline. Here's July 29th or July 31st, August 1st. So Judge Sweeney made the ruling where all athletes that were seniors last year essentially could be, play another year. And that was like, okay, well, you just opened up a can of worms for every program in the country. And then she made the ruling you're talking about with some clarification, like, well, wait a minute, I mean this.
Yeah.
And people probably have seen a few articles around about, Darrion Williams, Ven-Allen Lubin, Tre Holloman, they coming back to State or not. Here's the latest. And it sounds like, based off of what I've been reading, the most likely person, the most favorable opportunity for someone to come back to State, just based off of the wording of, particularly if you have not put your name in the transfer portal, you are not eligible for this ruling, is Ven-Allen Lubin. Because we knew that Darrion Williams and Tre Holloman had entered the transfer portal. I think that was more clear, but it wasn't as clear whether Ven-Allen Lubin has or has not done that. And so if he had not done that by April, whenever it was, then his options would either be going back to NC State or the G League. He would not have the option if he had not entered the transfer portal, or he could go, some other route kind of thing, but not to another college program. So it sounds like, Darrion Williams and Tre Holloman already entered their name in the portal. They can go wherever they wanted to at this point. If it works out, the ruling's good to go. But Ven-Allen Lubin sounds like maybe the most likely of those three. But that doesn't even count like football players, like if there's baseball players. It's all sports, which is what's crazy about just one ruling. And then the NCAA is like, well, we're still going to appeal what you're saying, Judge Sweeney. Like, which I wondered, was that Dabo Sweeney or some relative of
Right.
Dabo Sweeney? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and a little. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I'd say a little bit more is the NCAA has taken the appeal to a very favorable court for the NCAA, where they typically would side with the NCAA. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And then you're also the last thing, that I would say is like, how long is this going to take? Right. So we're in football season. Like, I don't know if it gets done before football season. Right. So I think the fall sports probably going to be in trouble, especially if the NCAA slow rolls this thing. Your winter and your spring sports might have a better opportunity there.
Well, and Ethan, I want to ask you too. I feel like over the last 6 years, ever since COVID, you have seen situation after situation where there is no playbook. There is no like, well, this is how you would handle the situation. Like with COVID, there was no playbook for this. Like, how from a player, from a coach, from a recruitment standpoint, do you handle the situation? Like it's I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
My impression of this is going to be the playbook, right? Like that's kind of what you're putting this in place for, where it's all right. Now you got 5 years to play 5. If if you can't
No
graduate,
excuses.
if you got to if your girlfriend wants you to stick around another year, like if you didn't pass your classes, or if you want to go
Injured.
pro and then you don't, injuries, right? Like now it's all right. You got 5 to play 5. Like
With
red
3
shirt-
exceptions.
red shirts no longer exist. So for me, this is the clarity. This is the okay. Now here's what we're doing. Now it's messy getting started, and which makes sense, right? Like these guys feel left out. The high school kids from 2022, they feel left out. Why don't we get included? Which again makes sense in this day and age, right? Everybody wants to be included. To me, very smooth when you implemented this to just say, hey, sorry guys, you missed out. Most of them, I shouldn't say most of them, but a lot of them were able to get paid in amounts that players a couple years before them, and that's just kind of the way it goes, where you miss out on something. And yeah, for a few of them, yeah, you're missing out on a lot of money, but again, you made a lot more money than the guys before you did, so it's kind of like, okay. So I don't know why. Yeah, go ahead, Layton.
well, just one because one clarifying thing too, which I don't know if we mentioned, is that this doesn't apply to anybody who was a senior last year. It only applies to the players that played 4 straight years
From
into last
2022.
season. Correct. So played 4
Yeah,
straight years.
The
no
class of
red shirt.
2022 guys,
But
right?
also,
So
is people who went at the time when they were coming in, they were under the age of 20
Correct.
as well.
Correct.
So if you're
Oh,
20
yeah.
years old when that all happened, you're like if you're one of the older guys who's in your class, you're probably hurting in that opportunity.
You're out of luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ethan.
So this transition was always going to be messy. Again, somebody's suing somebody else.
It's what we do in America.
Yeah, right. I just
Me and Greg are in back and forth lawsuits to each other, actually. So
yeah. So just stick with it. Like I don't know. Like I'm guessing that these guys will end up being deemed eligible. Again, you got to draw the line somewhere. It seems dumb to me, especially at this point in the process. I mean, you guys mentioned it. Like football season starts in 4 weeks. How is this fair to the football players? Right. And this is something that has been on the table for a long time, and always felt like it was going to happen. It was inevitable.
Yep.
Well, now we're waiting until a month before football season starts. Now the football players are going to miss out. So now are they going to come back crying next year saying, well, we didn't get a year last year? Like,
well, here, let me
just
throw
doesn't
this out
make
there really
sense,
quick,
so.
because this is the most interesting thing, especially we'll take football off the table because that's fine. But this really seems and is based around basketball, right?
Correct.
So you have a squad in Missouri or some, Pig's Knuckle East Arkansas State. They've got a
that's
full
a good
roster
team.
right now. Yeah, that's a good team. They're a bubble team, but I think they're going to be pretty good.
Right. They're all bubble teams now because
yeah.
everybody gets in.
It's true.
True.
So they have a full roster right now, right? And let's say Tre Holloman wants to go play there. Now they have to remove a kid from the team. Now, what happens to that kid that gets removed because the transfer portal is not open and they can't legally transfer? So are they left out? Yeah, SOL. Thank you. That was a good word. I had something else in my mind. But so what happens to these kids? Because now they're unceremoniously dumped from their current team. And these are decent ball players. Like, what do you make for them? Like, are we going to have another round of lawsuits? because
Yes.
now this.
Oh, there will be more lawsuits.
I get it. I get it. But you
Yeah.
you
It's
get where I'm going with
yeah,
this.
it's a great question. It's a great question. I know a lot of schools, and NC State's one of them, held spots for this reason.
Wisely.
You know, and I know, yeah,
So did
I know we
LSU.
all. So did LSU when we clowned on Will Wade.
Also,
we
they
did.
got guys who really
A
didn't
lot
have
of people
any
did.
eligibility to begin with.
Yeah,
committed to their
they
programs.
did, but I think this was always part of
think it
Will
was his
Wade's
plan.
strategy.
Yep.
Yeah, and so yeah, he had a few that got ruled ineligible, and you can sit here and say, oh, he's getting bailed out, and all of that's true, but yeah, like that's kind of the way it goes. So I think most guys, you went from 13 scholarships to 15. I don't know how many schools like are actually up to 15.
Right.
Like I believe State has 2 spots left.
Mhm.
And I think in other sports like women's basketball, they don't use all their scholarships. So I think there will be cases like that, Greg. I don't think there's going to be as many as maybe you would expect. And I don't know what happens to those kids. Like you said, they can't go in the portal, and at this point they're all enrolled, right? So,
Unless they make an exception, right? Because the NCAA just makes the rules up
yeah,
as they go
that's
along
true as
anyway.
well. That's absolutely
So
true.
maybe that's just
It
what they
doesn't feel like
decide.
there is an alternative.
Yeah.
Unless you were to say, hey, this player just has to walk on. But I don't even think walking on is a thing. I think it's just 15 roster spots, and that's that.
Yeah.
So
unless
you're right,
they
they'll have to make an exception.
Yeah, they make an exception somehow. Either open the portal or grant them an extra year. They're going to have to do something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not fair.
No, please don't grant them an extra year. That's why we're in this position now. Just
But that would be the all-time NCAA thing that they would
roster.
do.
It would.
But-
It definitely would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're not. If nothing else, they're inconsistent.
Well, they're consistent in the fact of, okay, does it make sense for you to have another year? Well, then you're not going to get another year. Does it really not make sense for you to have a year? Well, they're going to give you a year. That's basically how the NCAA does it. Now,
Yeah.
the question, though, I think every NC State fan, though, is screaming at us right now is, okay, well, and if we can get Ven-Allen Lubin, like,
That's a
how
big
much
if.
does that move the needle for NC State for next season? I mean, I know you always love talking some basketball here, but I don't know. For me, I'm sitting here saying, man, that would be huge. I feel like, just getting a guy with the experience and talent that he has, especially, when you look at, okay, well, Kyle's a little bit of a skinnier frame. You bring in a guy like Ven-Allen Lubin, it's a little bit more built, and hey, it could be a great 1-2 punch there, live potential. But
I think it's a 1-2-3 punch.
1-2-3 punch, exactly.
Yeah, I think they've got some options there. I mean, you're not. I mean, a guy with Ven-Allen Lubin's offensive skill set, in my opinion, is always going to be valuable. I do wonder, and I mentioned this to Greg privately, I wonder honestly how any of these 3 guys would fit with this team this season in general, because we know Gainey is a more defensive-minded guy, and I don't view Lubin, I don't view Williams, I don't view Holloman as defensive players first. So
But Lubin's the closest.
Right, he's the
closest.
closest, but he's also not like, he doesn't have the size that you would look for in a defensive.
Yeah, but I think if you
player,
play him at the
go-to
4 where
defensive
he's more
player.
natural, I think that's fine. I don't want to see him as a primary 5.
Yeah.
I mean,
But yeah,
I'm not saying
yeah.
Boo Corrigan is an expert, but Boo Corrigan literally came out at the press conference and said, we kind of got burned by playing, Ven-Allen Lubin as the primary 5.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's
intriguing.
he's a skilled offensive player more than a defensive player in my mind that can impact their you got Kyle Evans coming into the team. You got Shahal, how you pronounce it, Shahal. It's a JUCO guy. Would Ven-Allen Lubin probably play ahead of him? You got Jurkovic, they got committed. Maybe he's a 5, maybe not. Don't know. And then you got Michael Wilkins, who's an offensive guy. You would have a lot of depth at the 5. So to your point, if you bring in a guy like Ven-Allen Lubin, you probably kick down definitely Shea Hall. He's probably not playing a whole lot anyways. But then you're Michael Wilkins, you're probably not playing much either. What does that do? Like, I don't even know who would be the starting at the 5. I kind of would almost view
It's still Evans.
Kyle Evans at the 5. But you got a guy coming back. I don't know. It's a defensive minded.
I want Lubin at the
Evans
4.
starting.
I will
just
die
don't
on
know.
that hill.
I don't even know what Jurkovic has to offer at this point, really. I mean,
I think he's more of a 4.
Yeah, I generally
Stretch
agree. I
3.
just haven't seen a lot to say definitively he's this or that. So I don't view. I mean, I could see Ven-Allen Lubin playing a 4 sorta, but I just think the way he moves He's not. He's more of a 5, almost like a tweener between a 4 and a 5, almost. Anyways, my point is, it would be a benefit to State for sure. I just don't know how that translates each of those guys' skill sets into a defensive-minded scheme that Gainey's going to run. I don't know. I mean, it might work
Macon,
well.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is that different from the other guys that State has brought in? Take Evans out of it. Isn't everybody else that they brought in, would you label them offensive-minded?
Would I label them offensive-minded? I definitely would.
Hammond.
Hammond, yeah, I would say probably so. Definitely Paul McNeil. So I guess it's a very valid point to your what you're saying, Ethan. Like those guys are not.
Yeah.
They're not defensive players in general. I guess because Edmey's on the smaller side. I don't really know what Hammond. If I had to pick one of the three that maybe is more defensive, I would maybe say Hammond, but I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything to justify that.
I think that. I think they all lean offense. I do, and I think the gamble is Justin Gainey says I can coach defense, and I think it's again, we heard this from Will Wade. We heard it from every coach, not every coach, but most coaches. If you can't defend, if you don't put the effort in, you're not going to play. And I think that's ideally how you're looking at to get better on that side.
Yeah.
So I think you're right with your point is like, okay, like how does he fit in the system? I have the same questions. I think he does fit better as a 5. No question.
I do. Yeah.
But I also think the 4 is your weakest spot. And we haven't seen State run double bigs often. Not to say you can't do it. They did it at Tennessee. Gainey did that a lot. And, we talk about freshmen getting screwed over. It's not necessarily freshmen in this case, but, if State were to bring Lubin back, to me, Emily Allaho is the biggest loser here.
Yep. I got a question too. If you had to pick one of those 3 to bring back, and I'm kind of think I know your answer here. I'm guessing I know your answer, Ethan, but if you had to bring one of those 3 back, who would you bring back with what the current roster is now?
Well, to me, for fit, I actually think it would be Holloman because I think this team is desperately short backup guard. Now, would Tre Holloman?
Yep.
Yeah. Like now you get into the semantics of it. Like, well, does Tre Holloman want to be a backup guard? Probably not. And do you feel like you're okay without it? Like, is it worth giving up the more talented player in Lubin or Williams to bring back Holloman just to fit a need as like a bench piece?
But if it came down to dollars and cents, it's probably Holloman. Like he would be the cheaper of the 2, I would imagine.
Oh, for sure.
How much is the money going to come into play though?
Well, that's the other question. Sorry, Macon. I'm sorry.
It's August 3rd. If Lubin didn't go in the portal and he can't go anywhere.
Yeah, he's got no
leverage. Holloman went in the portal. Like, I don't know. And that's kind of the thing. Yeah, it's like, okay, all these players didn't go in the portal. Some of them did, but most of them, I believe, did not. Are they going to sue somebody to be like, oh, we got to be able to go in the portal? But it's August 3rd. Like at some point, you need answers here. You need answers. Like the season starts in.
Camp starts in like a month.
The season starts in 3 months. Yeah. So you need answers.
Yeah. So, but with that being said, though, I want to bring this segment back to where it truly belongs, which is truly besides just saying in general, which is I think could be done on a daily, if not hourly, if not secondly basis, saying the NCAA really grinds my gears here. Let's bring it back here. I don't know, Greg, give me something that really grinds your gears right now, man.
Well, cue it up for me because I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it right.
Oh, well. See, do I have? See, I don't have the separate one. It's baked into our intro now, man.
Really grinds my gears.
There you go. College football, Brazil. You owe me my money. Them not paying. They got my money. They got everybody's money still. Not $1 has been refunded to us that was going out.
I don't think that money's coming back, Greg. Hey, this is the lawsuits you're talking about. Here's some more lawsuits coming.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
And I bet it wasn't a small penny either, was it, Greg?
Mine was on the cheaper, but it was 4 figures.
Yeah, that's
It's
not
enough.
nothing.
That's
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not nothing.
All right, y'all.
Anyway.
Let's jump on over. We'll still talk a little bit of Ven-Allen Lubin. Actually, funny enough, I think Ethan's got me a little bit of an insight here. But let's jump on over some Ethan stat pack, y'all. Big thanks to our amazing sponsor, Alpha Wolf CPR Trainings, for sponsoring our segment, Ethan Stat Pack. Are you looking to get CPR certified for your business, school, church, team, or organization? Alpha Wolf CPR Trainings makes it easy for you by bringing the training directly to you. Alpha Wolf CPR Trainings is an American Red Cross licensed training provider offering adult and pediatric first aid, CPR, and AED certification courses. Whether you prefer hybrid learning or a fully instructor-led class, they customize the training to fit your group's needs, including adult-only or pediatric-only certifications. With successful completion, participants receive an official American Red Cross certification, valid for 2 years and meeting OSHA standards. Convenient, professional, and tailored to your schedule, Alpha Wolf CPR Trainings helps you stay prepared when every second matters. To learn more and to schedule your class today, visit alphawolfcpr.square.site today. So, Mr. Ethan, taking on over, good sir.
Yeah, I wanted to do a little bit of a refresh on Ven-Allen Lubin. It seems like this is a possibility. I certainly don't, at least I don't know that it's a guarantee to happen at this point. It definitely doesn't seem like, it certainly seems like Lubin is much more likely than Holloman or Williams. I don't think those are even possibilities, I guess, at this point. So, but it does sound like NC State would want Ven-Allen Lubin back, and is working to do that. So let's kind of review his numbers from this season. He averaged 13.6 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, 0.9 blocks. Those are kind of your basic raw stat totals. Kind of getting into the advanced stuff. He had an offensive rating of 139, which is elite. I believe he led the ACC in field goal percentage, if I'm not mistaken. It was a 67% effective field goal rate. Yeah. 69% true shooting. That factors in those both factor in 3-point shooting and free throws. Offensive rebounding rate 11.8%. Defensive rebounding rate 17.1%. Took great care of the ball with an 8.8% turnover rate and a 4% block rate, 54% free throw rate, which was a career high, and he shot 74% from the line. I think people were really mad about everything that happened last basketball season before even you get to the Will Wade stuff, just in the way it ended. And I thought Ven-Allen Lubin caught a lot of heat and maybe heat is too strong of a word, but
strays.
I don't think strays. Yeah. I think he didn't really get enough appreciation as he should have. He was,
Agreed.
one of the 5 or 6 most efficient players in the ACC. And to me, the possibility to add him back is a no-brainer. And I think when you look at where does he fit in, if you're putting him at the 4, you're answering some questions that I've looked at and said, okay, for example, Justin Gainey, he's been excellent. He's had excellent defensive rebounding teams. Well, at Tennessee, obviously not his teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You put Ven-Allen Lubin at the 4. Now all of a sudden you've got 2 really good rebounding 4s. Ven-Allen Lubin, like people complain about his ability to defend the rim. Well, now a 4% block rate as your 4, that plays much better than it does at the 5. And so, look, are you giving up some shooting? Yeah, you are. And I think, that's kind of the thing that you wonder about. A state has said, hey, we want shooters. We want as many shooters as possible, playing 4, even 5 shooters at times. That's something you have to figure out. But to me, it's still an absolute no-brainer to potentially add Ven-Allen Lubin back. As efficient as he is, he fits in at the 4. I wouldn't say seamlessly, but he does fit in. Maybe you can get a little more 3-point shooting out of him. But yeah, I think, again, people forget for a variety of reasons how good Ven-Allen Lubin is. And this is the one thing I would close on. Let me ask you guys this. how many minutes a game do you guys think? Let's say Ven-Allen Lubin and Kyle Evans are both on the roster next year. How many minutes per game do you think you're looking at for each of those guys?
That's tough.
Like each or average, or what are you looking for?
Are they playing the same
Average,
position?
yeah,
Or are we saying
average.
they're sharing the floor at the same time?
You tell me.
I'm going to
So,
say they're
think
both
that
playing. I'm going to say they're
Like,
both playing.
would you say?
Go ahead.
Would you say these are our 2 5s? Would you say we're gonna play them together? Like,
I think
know-
you have flexibility, right? And I think that's what you're looking for in a roster. Depending on your opponent and matchups, like you can probably flip flop some of that stuff, right? You can rotate guys in and out. If guys are in injury, you have foul trouble, whatever the case may be, hot hand. What insert this adjective verb here.
Yeah, I'm going to say, to Greg's point, a little bit of some versatility there on the roster. These guys might play. I feel like if Kyle Evans is what we expect him to be, you're probably not taking him off the floor much at all. But I'm going to say if they're both on the roster, there's some around, I think both are going to be around 30 minutes a game is what I'm kind of thinking.
Okay,
I think primarily if they're sharing the floor, that gives them time. Kyle at the 5, Bill at the 4. You can take Kyle off, put Vin at the 5, swap it out. But I think primarily Kyle's playing that 5 spot. But you could have Vin playing the 4 and come in for the 5, and then you could bring in a guy like Jurkovic to play the 4 at times to swap out with Lubin. You could bring in Mikey Wilkins at times to relieve both those at the 5. You get what I'm saying? I think about 30 minutes or so for both of them, honestly, is what I would guess.
So let me ask this question, since we're asking each other questions. Based off of today's roster, the way it's constructed, and if you were to bring in Ven-Allen Lubin at 13.6 points at the 4, are you happy with that?
If that truly translates like 1-to-1,
right,
what we did last year to this year, yeah, I would think I'd be happy with that.
Is that an upgrade? I guess that's my question.
What was his usage number? He had a high or low usage number?
It was like 19%. It was pretty low.
I'd be happy with it. I mean, if he's not going to be necessarily considered like he has to be the go-to guy, I think I'd be happy with it personally.
And by the way, when Ethan
you could be upset with that.
Yeah, agreed. And when Ethan was breaking down the raw numbers of rebounds, Lubin had 7 rebounds a game. 5 of those were defensive, right? So again, if you're putting an emphasis on defense, he will go and crash the boards on the defensive side. So I don't think it's completely fair to say that he doesn't play defense.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
But you also have to look at too the way State played defense last year and switching everything. I think his defensive numbers probably would get an uptick based off of Gainey's system versus Wade's lack of system.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Here's what I would throw out to you is we're debating how these two fit together. But Macon, if you're saying they play each play 30 minutes a night, I presumably that would mean they're splitting the
There's
floor.
some rotation there. Yeah.
There's some rotation, but you're also talking about half the game where only one of them's on the floor, right? So you're saying, okay, for half the game, if they were to play 30 minutes each, now 30 minutes is more than each of them played last year. Both were right around 28. Evans was at 28, and Ven-Allen Lubin on Torque was at 69%, 28.1. So
I didn't even know
you're looking at 28. Yeah. So I was thinking more like 20, 25 each, but again, in the bigger games, yeah, it's going to be 28, 30. To me, that's something you say, okay, we can deal with that for 20 minutes. Like like that's worth it. That's worth the trade-off for us. Mm-hmm. And so I think, to me, like, hey, I've been at the front of the line saying, well, how do these guys fit? I think that's kind of overblown. Like, I don't think it matters.
Like, could you play Jurkovic and Yalaho for several minutes in a game? Like, I think you can get by with that for a while to kind of give each of those guys lead.
To me, if this played out, Jurkovic, this would be a 3-man rotation. I think Yalaho would just be the odd man out.
Can I throw this nugget in there? If you bring Ven-Allen Lubin, he's another guy with ACC experience, P4 experience, something you don't have a lot of on this roster. So he is a proven commodity at the ACC level.
He's a vet.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. So something to consider. So with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, we'll jump on over here and we'll get into some hot take countdowns, y'all. All right, here.
Hold on. Before we get started, I want to preface this is Layton Smith's hot
Yes.
take countdown, not
Man,
Ethan
you gotta do
Berry,
this every time.
not
every
Macon
time.
Adams, not Greg Haas. All right, so all the ats,
Greg
make
is
sure they come at
Greg is
Layton.
not putting his name on this.
Greg,
not.
every time he's like, I just want to be real clear.
Yes, I am so far away from this. It's not even funny. No, so
If it's good, I got your back.
What Lay needs to do
Uh-huh.
next time is he needs to put a tweet out without asking Greg and say, these are Greg's 5 hot take players. And then Greg's like, I never said that. The internal feud would be hilarious.
Yeah. So, all right. So, a little bit of background here. All right. And in full transparency here. So, there is going to be a list that comes out here probably within the next day or two from this college football Twitter account called Pigskin PD. And they reached out to the Tuffy Talk account yesterday and asked for our top 5 NC State football players of all time. Not top 5 quarterbacks, top 5 NC State football players of all
how you
time.
threw that in there.
Yeah. And so
Chris
me
Dunn was
myself
number
decided to take it
1.
upon myself to come up with the list. And funny enough, it actually took me about 30 seconds to come up with this list. And basically
see
how
why.
yeah.
Shut
All right.
Greg.
Go for it.
So anyway, so yeah, so basically for me, no, okay, fine. I'll unmute Greg. All right. So for me, so what I did, so football, especially I think for most people, is so tough when you do lists like this. I mean, basketball, for example, is extremely tough. If you ask people to name their top 10 basketball players of all time, besides really LeBron James, but heck, shoot, even like Kobe, like so, some people have put Kobe at number 1, some people put Kobe at number 8. But again, how do you compare a guard to a center? How do you compare different eras? But football, how do you compare a quarterback to a safety? How do you compare over
Chris
different
Dunn
eras?
number 1, didn't you, Layton?
So
get
what I
to it.
did, so what I did was I did my rankings based off of basically, like, if I were to do a draft, who would I take number 1 through 5? So number 1, Greg will love this. Greg and I are so in tune right now. Number 1,
Yeah.
Ted Brown, running back, 4,602 career rushing yards, over 1,000 yards more than the next man on NC State's career list. So no shocker there. Number 1. Number 2 as well, Torry Holt, 31 career touchdown catches, school record, 1998 AC Player of the Year. Number 3, and like for me, number 3, number 4, you could easily go back and forth on. Bradley Chubb holds a career sacks record and tackles for loss. 2017 Bronco Nagurski Award winner. Number 4.
Leader too.
Yep. Sorry, I said all-time sacks and tackles for loss. My bad.
Gotcha.
Number 4, Mario Williams, first ACC player ever taken number 1 overall. Still the only ACC player taken number 1 overall on the defensive side of the ball. And then number 5 for me, and this is where I went back and forth for a minute on, do I go a little bit hotter or do I go a little bit colder? I did Adrian Wilson at number 5, and then Phillip Rivers as my honorable mention here. And basically literally Pigskin PD was like, nope, we can't do this list because Phillip Rivers is not on this list. So you got to put, so there will be a list that comes out that I put Phillip Rivers in, so that way he would be willing to use it.
Pick your top
but
5.
I
and
stand
here's
by
gonna
it
be
here.
One of the
And
players in your top 5. That's hilarious.
Not this top 5.
basically, yeah. Yeah, not this top 5. And I'll really keep it simple in the fact of, all right, so let's say, Greg, you and I were to do an NC State football draft. Literally last week, we just said, in our opinion, there's really 3 pretty much almost undisputed GOATs positions. Adrian Wilson at safety, Torry Holt at wide receiver, Ted Brown at running back. And then, but for me also too as well, I think there's a big tier between Mario Williams, Bradley Chubb, and then the next. Not necessarily no disrespect, but those 2 guys are above. So for me, if you take Phillip Rivers, Greg, I'm more than happy to take probably for me, Russell Wilson, and feel pretty good about how my team's going to end up. But if I get Torry Holt, Adrian, well, because again, literally, Greg, we literally, when we were trying to think of who would we put in the conversation with Adrian Wilson, it was like, I don't know, Earl Wolf. Like who else would you really put? And keep in mind too as well, Adrian Wilson was only at NC State for 3 years, only played 2 of those years, and soon after he entered the NFL, he got the starting job and was a 5-time Pro Bowler. So I can't help but think about, what if he had stayed one more year at NC State? What if? Philip Rivers had all 4 years, and he won 0 ACC championships, never even made it to an ACC championship game. And unfortunately, today's day and age, when you look at quarterbacks, when you look at Tom Brady, what do you look at? You look at championships. And so
But did Tom Brady win any championships in the Big Ten at Michigan?
Well, he only played 1 year. He only started 1 year at Michigan.
Doesn't change the
well,
question.
I'm just saying, when I look at quarterbacks, you started all 4 years, Greg, but so again,
hold on.
Number 6.
I'm going to pause you.
6.
Hold on. So you're telling me you're going to nullify Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, Fran Tarkenton. You're saying that they're not good quarterbacks because they didn't win a championship?
I never said that he was good, but I'm
wouldn't
saying,
be on your top 5?
Yes, yeah, no, that he wouldn't be in my top 5. Yes. In terms of,
it's okay, Greg.
It's okay to be wrong.
Top 5 all-time NC State players. That's the issue for me.
Here's how you finish.
I like how Ethan is just sitting back there, like, just observing this all.
Greg, who would be your top 5? Let's put it that way.
So Layton and I had this conversation yesterday, and I had to walk away because it was getting absurd. So there was a reason why I didn't respond.
Greg was going to be on that guy, like the Duke guy at the football game.
Yeah. So when you look at the quarterbacks that NC State has had, right? Like, you have to choose a quarterback. I don't care. So the question then becomes, are you removing Bradley Chubb or Mario Williams for me? Again, if you want to leave in Adrian Wilson, that's fine. It's fine. It's his list. He can do whatever he wants. But for me, you have to have an NC State quarterback on that list. Like, whether it's Russell Wilson, Philip Rivers, or Roman Gabriel. I'm not going to split hairs on that argument, or even Ryan Finley, as Ethan put out last week, that his numbers are, almost in the question. But you have to have a quarterback on that list. So again, I don't care which quarterback you put, but you have to have a quarterback.
Okay, that's fair. Ethan, what are you mulling about back there behind the microphone, my man?
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on, like, what's your list, right?
Correct.
Because late night, if you're making a fantasy draft, yeah, I get it. Like, why do fantasy in a NFL fantasy draft, quarterbacks fall, right? Like, they don't go first because it's harder to find a running back. It's harder to find a tight end. It's harder to.
He also had 3 defensive players on that list.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if it's a fantasy draft where, like, you're picking a team and I'm picking a team, yeah, maybe I'd be willing to let you take Philip Rivers first because I know I can still get Russell.
That's
Wilson.
why I'm taking Ted Brown first.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, to me, if it's still the 5 best players, like, I think I would have no problem taking Adrian Wilson off personally. I think it would be too tough to take anybody else off.
It's a harder argument to put Adrian Wilson over Philip Rivers, right? So I think that's where you're split. Like, I think you're okay if you leave both Mario and Chubb on that list. I
got a thought here. So I went and looked up, NC State's got their own athletic Hall of Fame, right? They started doing this in 2013. There was 3 football players first ballot, if you want to look at it that way. Those 3 players actually did this in 2012.
Because I like this angle.
Yes, they said all time that their top 3 football players were Ted Brown, Jim Richter, and Roman Gabriel. Then the second year they had, in 2013.
So hold on, pause. So pause real quick. So that would automatically take out Chubb and Mario because the Hall of Fame wasn't
Well, see,
in existence at that point.
Well, I
So
would say
I'm just,
take out Mario's already nixed there because he was around and they didn't pick him.
yeah, but he would have been active.
No, I'm saying he would have been an option that they could have chosen. They didn't choose him first ballot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they're
picked
gonna
other guys.
date back older players by nature. But anyway,
Well, okay,
continue.
so then-
You're
so
on the
let's go
right track here.
2013, they added 2 more players, Torry Holt and Phillip Rivers. So now you've got 5 NC State Hall of Famers. To me, the outlier out of Layton's list that I would say personally I think is one of the greatest players that could not have been eligible because he had not played yet is Bradley Chubb. So I kind of view it as that's your list. Chubb's going in there somewhere, and then which of those guys are you kicking out? And I mean, to me, I think you got to take one of those quarterbacks to get kicked out personally. Phillip or Gabriel. So to me, I would say your top 5 NC State players all time are Ted Brown, Jim Richter, Torry Holt, and then I'm blanking here because someone just tried to video call me. Anticlimactic. Maybe Phillip Rivers, Roman Gabriel, and Bradley Chubb. So I mean, the trailblazer was Roman Gabriel, but I would personally pick Phillip Rivers because he was just awesome. I thought so.
He was just awesome.
And again, I go back to our GOAT conversation last week. Like, if you're not in the College Football Hall of Fame and you're only doing a top 5, I feel like if you're in the College Football Hall of Fame, that should be like check, check, check. Like, you're the best of the best.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think there's an element of nostalgia too. Like, like there's an element of like, okay, the older generation of players, it's like, well, would they be the same type of player in this environment? I don't think so. But again, that you can't hold that against them. Like, that's not fair to be like, well, Roman Gabriel wouldn't be as good today as he was then. Like, that's not fair. He didn't play today.
Exactly.
Like, you can only play who you're facing. So that's why I don't know. Like, it's much easier to split it up into eras and kind of go that way.
Well, Ethan, I think you were right last week. I think it was you that said the recency biasness, right? And so some of that goes into Layton's list, and that's fine. Like, again, you remember the guys that you have seen on television in person. Like, it's easier to identify with those guys. So I give Layton crap just because it makes for fun content. But
absolutely,
his list is not like absurd. Like, it's just absurd.
I will say, for the record, we're talking about Mario Williams. He is in the NCAA Hall of Fame, but he was added in the year 2020. Yeah. So he came a few years later, which is interesting here. They didn't do one for 2017 and 2019. It's kind of odd, but or 20. I guess they do it once every 2 years. Is that a thing? Once every 2 years?
No, I feel like they've done it yearly for the last couple of years.
Because I'm seeing 2012, 2013, then it goes 2014, 2016, 2018, 2020. And then it goes to 2024. So they must have.
COVID might have had some play in that, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But Dennis Bird's also in the Hall of Fame. And then there's a guy early on that I don't even know who the heck this guy was. Jack McDowell. I don't know who he was. He's got like old school jersey on. So
yeah,
he's from like the early 1900s, I think.
Yeah.
Well, this was definitely fun here for sure, and definitely, like Greg said, made for some good content here. But I don't know about you, but I really want to just absolutely just send Greg over the moon and add Mr. But
now you
really need to play a list to troll him, Layton, next time, and just say Greg gave me his top 5 and give these absolutely questionably bad.
No, my top 5 will be Chris Dunn at 1, number 2 Chris Dunn, number 3 Chris Dunn, number 4 Chris Dunn, and number 5 Chris Dunn. That would be what Layton would do.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, dude, I could just listen to this all day.
Well,
that's a great little tune right there.
So we get demonetized.
That's a fair statement too. So with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, let's wrap this thing up here, and let's jump on over to some tweets of the week, shall we? Once I can find the stinger, here we go. Alrighty here. So this is actually one that we actually had picked out for last week here, but it's hey, it's a busy time. You got football coming up here. You got the NCAA just screwing everything up here. But got to give a shout out to men's soccer, man, and Coach Mark Hubbard, man, what he's doing, bringing in players that are not just like part of freaking California FC. Like it's from like this player right here, which I'm not even gonna try and pronounce his name here, unless anybody here wants to take a shot at it here. But
Adrian Munoz.
Adrian Munoz. There we go. Okay, there we go. Thank you. That's a good shot. I'll take that. From Club FC Barcelona. And
Never heard of it.
yeah. Yeah, never heard of that. Never heard of that club. But again, I just and this isn't the only player like this too as well. He's brought in a couple other big players from some pretty substantial clubs in Europe.
Yeah,
the High Point North Carolina Football Club. Make names.
so anyways, a huge shout out to Coach Mark Hubbard here for sure, and love what he's doing, and again, just keep it going, and let's finally win it all this year. Why not? So
crazy. The guy in his second season was a runner-up for a national championship. Like, what is he going to do in year 3 is what's wild to me. So,
well, again, it's reloading.
Yeah, the funny thing, and I don't mean funny, haha. Like, I honestly don't ever remember seeing this many soccer tweets on X. Not to say that we weren't bringing in quality guys before, but now you just, again, it just might be a testament to the social media program and the emphasis that the athletic department is putting on a program that's on the rise. But it's every day last week, it felt like there was a new tweet of the from soccer, like we brought in this guy. I'm not even kidding when I think there's probably been no less than like 10 or 12 tweets in the last 2 to 3 weeks of bringing in high quality guys. And I assume I assume that they're going to be playing this year. I tried to look this stuff up, but it's really hard to find college soccer information. But yeah, it looks impressive.
Yeah, we really need a 24/7 or rivals men's soccer. We really need that. So let's make it happen. But let's wrap this thing up exactly where Greg and Ethan's hearts are, 24/7, 365 here. Let's talk a little baseball here, shall we? So the news came out that the NCAA Rules Subcommittee has approved the use of ABS. Sources tell at Baseball America it can be used in any game where the tech is available, includes TrackMan, and this still requires Baseball Oversight Committee approval, but is expected to be implemented in 2027. So Ethan, because I know Greg, listed this here. So Ethan, I'm interested in your initial thoughts to ABS coming to college baseball.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, you have the technology. Why not? Now, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be. Oh, the umpires are always wrong. I think you're kind of going to learn the players probably don't understand the strike zone as well as we would hope or like. Yeah. So I think it's great. I mean, it's excellent. Obviously, anything to keep umpires' ego in check, I guess, is the way I would frame it, and sort of humble them. So,
that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be the interesting thing about this whole thing.
Yeah, and at the MLB level, you've seen a ton of that. You've seen these older umpires. I think a number of them have just said they're going to be stepping down or whatever, and they just haven't. You can't make calls out of spite now. Yeah. And so, again, that's not the biggest story here, but I do think it's a factor. And so, yeah, I think it's great. And I'm looking at it's going to be right. It's going to be an advantage for some teams, right? And I do think, look, I watched my Red Sox struggle with this thing for 3 months. They challenged at the wrong times. They challenged poorly. And it can really be it can be a drag on you. You can do this poorly. And so it's going to be an opportunity for teams who are ahead of the curve, whose players know the strike zone, who know when to challenge, when's a good time to challenge, when's not a good time to challenge. Those teams are going to it's going to help them win games. And teams that aren't, it's going to cost them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fair. Greg, any additional comments on that?
No, the biggest thing is to see what stadiums this will be, because it won't be every stadium. It'll be at the P4 level. It should probably be pretty close. But to Ethan's point is, if you're not managing these challenges properly, and it's just like in any other sport where coaches have challenges, because this is the thing, These are challenges by the baseball player, not the coach. And so if you burn these up in the first 2-3 innings, there could be a critical time in the game where, it's a 3-2 count, bases loaded, and now you don't have a challenge if it's a ball, right? And he calls strike 3. So you really have to be smart with it.
Well, it's almost like do you wonder like if they honestly even like practice this would practice this even?
Oh yes, 100%. You have to.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to.
Yeah. So but do you think this is some that the state have the technology for it?
We do. We have TrackMan.
Okay. All right. So
Most places have TrackMan for their, when they're doing workouts and training and all of that. You can see, where the pitch is. You can get velo, you can get exit velo, you can get all that stuff off the TrackMan. The true systems are going to be like in your minor league ballparks, like right where the SEC played last year, where you'll get the more sophisticated ABS system. But that's why they're saying, hey, we will allow TrackMan, because it will tell you. It uses geo coordinates and all that fancy, funky stuff.
The thing which I feel like excites me the most about this, though, y'all, is I feel like that TrackMan or an ABS, what it's really missing is like the college, tradition twist on it. Like, like right now, like everybody does as it comes in, whatever. But like, I just totally see like these SEC schools with their crazy, rambunctious, students and fans like doing some crazy stuff, like during this whole process where it's, trying to be, identified if it was a ball or a strike. So I don't know. I just kind of hope and pray that, there could be some really cool, college twist traditions on this process, but we'll see. Time will tell. Again, 2027, we'll see what comes with that here.
Real quick to throw this out there, the challenge success rate in the SEC tournament was just over 56%. So just keep that in mind. Like that was, again, very small sample size, to Ethan's point. So it's about a 50-50 ratio.
Is that good?
I mean, you have to time you're right, half the time you're wrong, kind of.
I would say no.
Above average.
I don't think
it's
that's
approximately 6% above average.
Yeah. I think it's slightly better than the major leagues if I had to guess.
Yeah. Well,
But anyway, just wanted to throw that. That is a key number when you're talking, that technology.
Well, with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, once again, we want to say thank you so much for everybody for tuning in here with us, whether you're tuning in with us live or watching us during the repost or even listening to us on Spotify too as well. Really do appreciate everybody tuning in here with us. If you haven't already, though, make sure to go check out our amazing Patreon. Our man Ethan for sure is throwing out some amazing content here, and actually too as well, we actually can give a little bit of a tease here as coming up here this week. We actually have a really cool episode that's actually going to be a two-parter. Part 1 will be on YouTube. Part 2 will be on the Patreon. So to make sure you do not miss out on that, make sure to do us a favor and go click the link down in the description down below. Sign up today, only $5 a month. You get access to 12 members-only videos per month, plus access to our members-only rumor chat too as well. So again, click the link down in the description below. Sign up today. But also to make sure to go give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And also to make sure to go and click that subscribe button too as well. Click the like button if you haven't already too as well, as it really helps support us in the channel. And also too as well, leave a comment down in the description below. How hot was my top 5? Was it just like Greg said, absolutely bonkers? What were you even thinking that night when you came up with this? Or I see what you're doing, Layton. I like what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. You know what, Greg? Either way, let us know down in the comments.
Nobody says that.
Yeah. But with that being said, though, we will see you all soon. And as always, y'all, go Pack, y'all.